Okay, no more hanging around, no more hesitating. Let's go. We are back together again, and it is English Addict, coming to you live and direct from the birthplace of the English language. You know where it is. We all know where it is. By the way, it's raining. Of course, it is England. We are back together again. Are you excited? I hope you are as excited as I feel right now. Hi everybody, this is Mr. Duncan in England. How are you today? Are you okay? I hope so. Are you happy? Are you feeling happy today? I hope you are. I really do. Never have I wished for happiness to exist in the world more than I do at this very moment in time. Please turn around to the person next to you and give them a big warm hug. That is what we need more of in the world right now. I think it is the answer to all the problems facing humanity. We just need more hugs. We need more warm hugs. If only everyone could turn to each other and just say, look, let's just hug. Let's put all our differences aside and have a lovely warm hug. That, I think, will cure all of the problems happening now in the world. Misunderstandings, distrust, suspicion. All of those things will vanish as if by magic through one simple action. A lovely, warm hug. I think so. If you don't have a smile on your face, I will try my best to put one there over the next 2 hours. Yes, 2 hours. I know what you're thinking. How is that strange little man going to keep me occupied for the next 2 hours? Well, guess what? Stick around. Don't go away, because you will find out. So my name is Duncan. I talk about the English language. I love English very much. You might say that I am an English addict, as it says right here and everywhere around my studio. I hope you are feeling good today. It is the last English Addict on Sunday for this month. Don't get worried. I know what you were thinking then. You were thinking, Mr. Duncan, you can't quit now. You can't leave us now. Don't worry, I'm not. But this is the final English Addict for this month on Sunday. Of course, there will be one more on Wednesday. I will also be with you on Wednesday and Sunday. Next weekend, we are into March. Can you believe it? I don't know why, but it really does feel as if this year is going very fast, and already we have seen all sorts of things happening. A little bit of a drama taking place here at the moment in the UK. We have been told to start using these again. Do you remember these? During 2020, 2021 and way into 2023, we were all using these on our hands. This is sanitizer for your hands, and the reason why we've all been told to be careful and keep our hands clean is because there is something going around at the moment. Our science expert, Mr. Steve, will be talking all about that. a little bit later on. Talking of which, yes, Steve will be with us. We have Mr. Steve. So it isn't just me staring at you from your device. It is also this guy as well. I will warn you now. We never quite know what Mr. Steve is going to say. So I am telling you now, if you don't have a sense of humour and if you are easily shocked, stick around. We have Mr. Steve coming up at around about 2:30, and he will be sharing something with us today, something very scary. He had a near-death experience this morning. I know what you're thinking, Mr. Duncan. That's very dramatic. He had a brush with death this morning, Mr. Steve, and he will be telling us all about it a little bit later on. Lots of things to talk about. We also have the European Union. It's not the easy thing to say, really, when you think about it. The European Union. It's got too many of those sounds. European Union. They have come up with a new rule, a new law that is about to be enforced. And as you know, we are living in very strange times when certain things we always did have now become illegal, and things we used to think have become against the law or banned. So we will be looking at that in a few minutes from now. But of course, the most important thing of all is you out there in YouTube land. Hello out there in YouTube land. It is nice to have you here. We have the live chat. Oh, very interesting. Of course, we always say a big special hello to the first person on the live chat. Today, it is Beatrice. Congratulations, Beatrice. You are first on today's live chat. Well done, Beatrice. In second place, not quick enough today, unfortunately. We have Vitas, and we also have Duc and Vuli is here as well. Hello to you watching in Vietnam. Am I right? Please let me know. Florence. We also have Florence. Ethereal Echoes. I love that. Ethereal echoes. Things that are around us. They may or may not be visible or audible. Ethereal. Something that is in the air. We often talk about ethereal presence of a spirit or a ghost. Something that is ethereal. Ooh, very nice. Watching in Pakistan. Hello to you. Sajid is here as well. Who else is here? Oh, yes, he is here. A big, jolly, le grand bonjour to Luis Mendez is here today. Hello, Luis. Nice to see you back with us again today. Hanny is here. We also have Nicholas. Hello, Nicholas. Nice to see you back with us. It is lovely to see regular viewers on the live chat. And I have a feeling over the past couple of months we have had lots of new viewers joining us. Also, hello to Edith Goulet. Hello, Mr. Duncan from Budapest. A beautiful place, by the way. Beautiful, very nice. Maybe one year 1 year in the future, maybe next year or the year after, we might have our big rendezvous in Budapest. Imagine that. A very nice place. Apparently it is very sunny in Paris. I am very jealous at the moment. Just a little bit jealous. Because you are having sunshine. We are not. Although we had the most amazing day yesterday. It was beautiful. I don't know what happened yesterday. It was warm, sunny, lots of blue sky. It was very nice. However, today we have grey skies, strong wind, which was causing Mr. Steve 1 or 2 problems. He had a near-death experience this morning. He had a brush with death. Find out what that was all about this morning. All I'm going to say is it is connected to the weather. There is a clue there. Who else is here? Marcelo. Hello, Marcelo. I have been doing a graduate course in English teaching and I am from Brazil. What piece of advice could you give to beginning English teaching? I really like your job. Thank you very much. I remember many years ago I gave interviews to some young teachers. They were just starting out in their teaching career. They were just beginning their journey into the world of teaching. And I think one of the big mistakes that a lot of young teachers make is when they begin teaching, or if they are attending interviews for teaching jobs, they often, what's the word I can use? They often like to show how much they know or how much they have learned themselves. Sometimes you can make teaching too complicated. It is very easy for a young teacher to want to show just how much they know, how much they have learned, and how much they have to offer. Quite often it is possible to make the subject too complicated for the students. So 2 things I would definitely recommend if you are attending an interview for a teaching job. Be careful not to show off too much. Make sure you put yourself across clearly, but there is no need to show off. There is no need to try to impress everyone around you with your knowledge. The most important thing, the most important part of teaching anything is to be clear. Clear, keep things simple. You don't always have to use long words. You don't always have to be complicated in your explanations. A lot of people say that about me. They often say, Mr. Duncan, we like listening to you because you keep everything simple. Sometimes I talk about complicated things, but not always. It is often good to keep things simple. And if you are going to explain things in a technical way, don't forget to also use a simple explanation as well. So it is possible to say things or use words that might be advanced, but never be afraid to explain things in a simple way. You have to make sure that you include everyone in the classroom, from the brightest student to the one who might be at the back of the classroom feeling a little unsure and nervous. So always try to involve all of the class. Always make sure you remember there are lots of different types of student in your classroom, all different levels, many different abilities. And I think it is very easy to leave some of your students behind if you use too many technical terms, words. So if some of your students do not understand what you're saying, or maybe you use words that are too difficult, you can leave many of the students behind very quickly. And this happens quite a lot with young teachers, because young teachers are excited. They are very eager to show just how good they are at teaching. So I think it is always a good idea to try and keep things simple. Keep things at a certain level. Because remember, there are many people in your classroom and they don't all have the same ability. I always think that is worth remembering. Hello to Inaki. Hello, Inaki. Hello also to, who else is here? Christina. I hope Mr. Steve's problem is not serious. All I can say is it nearly was. It was very serious for a moment. He will be telling us all about his brush with death, which happened this morning. He came back and he said, Duncan, I've got something incredible to tell you. So he will be sharing that story with us later on. You will be happy to hear Steve is okay. He will be with us a little bit later on, and Steve will be live in the studio in around about 9 minutes from now. As you may or may not know, a few years ago the UK decided to say goodbye to the European Union. We called it Brexit. One of the interesting things that happened since then is many laws that were in this country have been removed or changed. Some of them have been strengthened, whilst others have been relaxed. A very interesting situation happening right now in the European Union, and this is not my personal opinion, this is just something that I noticed. And the reason why I'm mentioning it is because a few days ago we were talking about this subject. So I think it is an interesting subject to talk about. The European Union is to ban the use of male gender terms. So any phrase, any idiom that uses the male gender within that phrase is going to be banned. The use of it or of them is going to be removed. The European Institute for Gender Equality. And this is one of the reasons why many people voted to leave the European Union, because certain rules and laws were being enforced on the whole of Europe. And before 2016, the UK was part of the European Union, but no longer. So I find this very interesting, and the reason why I find it interesting is because I talk about the English language, and I do find it interesting when the way in which we speak or the way in which we use words is changed by force. Now I think there is room, from my own personal point of view as a teacher, there is always room for everyone to use certain words in day-to-day life. So I'm not sure if I agree with this. I think everyone in day-to-day life, most people know the right thing to say and the wrong thing to say. We are all quite intelligent when you think about it. So there are some phrases that often use male gender. So I suppose one that I can think about straight away is manpower. We often talk about manpower when we are talking about work or the amount of work needed to complete a task. So we often talk about manpower when we are talking about workforce. So you can see already that phrase may appear out of date. However, we all know what it means. We know that you are not trying to be offensive. It is just a phrase that we use. Manpower. We often talk about man hours. It just means how many hours a person works for. How many hours do you need to work to carry out a simple task? The man hours. So I do find it rather interesting, and I have to say I don't completely agree with this, because I think sometimes language changes naturally over time. There are many phrases, many words that we use now that we would not use 15 or 20 years ago, but we use them now. So I think when you start making up laws or rules to change the way a language is used in day-to-day life, I think it is a very strange area to drift into. And as you know, as I use English all the time, I am very aware that sometimes we can say the wrong thing. We might say something that we did not mean to say. So those things will still happen. So even if this rule, even if this law is passed, I can guarantee that many people will still forget, because in your daily life you will use language in a natural way. You don't have something inside your brain constantly telling you what the new rules are. So when it comes to language, I think it is very difficult to enforce the use of certain terms and languages. And I think it does cause a lot of confusion as well. So that is just my thought. You don't have to agree with it. But I think sometimes language must be left alone in certain areas. Because of course it's always changing. Language is always changing. The English language is always changing, and of course many other languages around the world. The way in which we use words every day in normal, casual situations. So that's what I'm really talking about from that point of view. I find it very hard to believe that someone will be actually listening to other people's conversations to make sure that they are not using terms that may be illegal. I also think it's a very strange thing to start doing, because it is a form of censorship when you think about it. It is kind of censoring what people say. I suppose you either agree with free speech or you don't agree with it. I don't think you can keep changing the rules because it doesn't work like that. Society doesn't move in that way. It's a big one, I know. So what do you think? Do you think there should be more laws controlling what we say, the words we use, maybe things that we used to say that we don't say anymore, or maybe things that some people still say and still use? Manhole is another one. As you walk along the road, there are often holes, access holes, where people can go down to have a look under the road or under the pavement or the sidewalk. So there are many instances where male gender is used, manhole. And in that sense, of course, they are using the term man to mean human. So a human is a man. Man. Mankind. I know it's a sticky subject, and it is one that some people might disagree with, or they might agree. But that is part of the fun, I suppose. We have Mr. Steve coming up in a few minutes. We will be finding out about his brush with death. I'm not joking. A very scary moment that Mr. Steve had this morning. Also in a few minutes, we are going to take a look at a lovely, friendly animal. We have a new friend who has started visiting us in the garden. We will be looking at that in a few moments from now. Please stay with us, and it will be Mr. Steve. He will be joining us in a few moments from now. We have Mr. Steve and, of course, myself, Mr. Duncan. Lots of things to talk about. We are looking at being cynical and skeptical. What is the difference between those words? If you stick around, you will find out.
I'm a big boy now.
It is so nice to be with you today. English Addict is with you. It is myself. Where am I? There I am. My name is Mr. Duncan. I talk about the English language. I am an English addict. I'm not the only one, though. there is someone else here. He is a person who joins us every Sunday, even though today he is feeling a little nervous because he had a terrible experience. This morning he had a brush with death. Can you believe it? So we will be talking all about that with the one, the only. You know who it is. I know who it is. We all know who it is. Especially the local police station. It is, of course, Mr. Steve.
Hello, wonderful, beautiful viewers from across the globe. Here I am again with Mr. Duncan on our weekly Sunday learn as much English as you can in a fun way.
Yep.
And yes, I'm here. I'm very pleased to be here, Mr. Duncan. Very pleased because of what happened earlier today.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that when you're ready.
Yes, we're going to talk. I think really we should definitely address the rather dramatic moment that Mr. Steve had this morning. So I'm Mr. Duncan, and that over there is Mr. Steve. We are going to talk about a lot of things today. We are talking about the difference between cynical and sceptical. Very interesting, because a lot of people these days, we are living in a world where a lot of people seem to be cynical, and some people, they appear to be sceptical. However, there is a big difference between those things. Come on, Mr. Steve. Come on.
What happened to me today? The Grim Reaper.
The Grim Reaper was following Mr. Steve.
Following me, yes.
Okay, let me just explain first of all, Steve. The weather forecast last night said it was going to be windy today. Lots of strong wind. And we're not talking about Mr. Steve's stomach. So Mr. Steve this morning decided to go out for a little walk. And, well, I thought it was a bad idea, to be honest.
Well,
because
you didn't say anything.
I thought you would realise for yourself that, you know.
Anyway, shall I tell the story?
Tell us the story, Mr. Steve.
I usually go for a romp, which is a sort of a vigorous walk, ROMP, on a Sunday morning. While Mr. Duncan is busy here preparing, I go off for my Sunday walk, which involves going through some woods to get to an open space. Anyway, so I set off. The forecast was wind. I don't like to go in the woods in the wind because lots of trees come down. Anyway, I went off. There was no wind at all. I thought, that's safe, I can go. So I went off, and as I got halfway through the woods going up this hill, suddenly this giant gust of wind, the trees were blowing everywhere, and I heard this crack over on my right-hand side, somewhere up in the woods. I heard this loud crack, and instinctively I ran as fast as I could. Then there was a second crack, a loud crack, and a crashing sound. I looked back, and probably 10 metres behind me, this huge tree crashed across the path where I had just been walking. I'm not telling you, this is no joke. So if instinct kicked in, Mr. Duncan, and I ran like a girl.
Yes, I could, because normally Mr. Steve runs like a girl.
I'm very manly when I walk.
When Steve runs, there's a lot of this going on.
No, there isn't. That's you, Mr. Duncan.
So I wish I was there. So basically, Steve was walking through the woods, minding his own business, and then suddenly a tree that was swaying in the wind came crashing down behind Steve as he ran.
Literally,
away.
Yeah, if I'd stayed where I was, it would have hit me. I'm not joking. And my life flashed before my eyes.
Oh, well, that must have been quick.
And I can tell you, it wasn't a nice sight.
Yes, well.
So I'm now reformed, Mr. Duncan. I'm going to become a prophet.
So, wait there, Steve. You're rushing ahead. Mr. Steve's brush with death. So what does it mean then? If you have a brush with death?
Well, you have a near-death experience. Sometimes I get them a lot in the car, of course. Every day I have near-death experiences on the road.
So something that happens that almost ends your life. Almost. Something happens. Many situations. So Mr. Steve very nearly, almost was squashed by a tree in the wind. But of course, I think most people at some point have some sort of brush with death in some sort of way.
Could be an illness.
Yeah.
That you think could, you have to go to hospital or something like that.
Serious.
Sudden infection.
Yeah.
A brush with death.
Yeah.
And I felt I had one today. Definitely. I know I'm sort of joking a bit and lightening the mood a bit, but at the time, I literally saw this tree. I turned back and saw this tree crashing down.
Yeah.
If there's one thing, a bit of advice I'm going to tell you, if it's windy and you're in the woods and you hear a loud cracking sound, it sounded like a gun going off. As the tree obviously is the forces involved as the tree is breaking.
Yeah.
You do have quite a few seconds to get out of the way before the tree comes down.
So Steve's advice is run like hell.
Just run.
Yes.
And I did. I came back, Mr. Duncan, and I was quite shocked to see the amount of devastation that it had caused as it came across the path.
Well, the thing is, this year I've never seen so many trees that have been felled by the weather. Everywhere around here, there are fallen trees all over the place. So this morning, a new one joined the procession of falling down to the ground.
Yes.
But quite dramatic, I have to say. I would imagine you were shaken?
Actually, I was a bit excited.
Oh.
And Inaki mentions this here. Walking in the woods when blowing a strong wind is dramatic. It makes you sort of feel alive.
Oh.
I did. I sort of felt alive. Suddenly I was that close to death, but I escaped. And I actually felt I went on my walk. I thought, yes, although I had to be careful. Christina says that I was protected by an angel.
Oh.
Yes. Well, that's always a possibility.
Steve, I wasn't there.
An angel, Mr. Duncan.
What are you saying?
Well, quite possibly, yes. I mean, yes. Anyway, I'm here. I'm here to tell the tale, and I will never again walk through. We've always been a bit scared of walking through those woods when it's windy.
Yeah, especially over recent times, because there are now trees that have not fallen over, but they are leaning over. So they look as if they might fall at any moment.
You see, if Pedro had been there, Pedro with his big muscles, he would have been able to stop the tree from falling on me just with his muscles alone. I would have felt a lot safer then. But anyway, I'm here to tell the tale, and we've got enough of that, Mr. Duncan. We've got to teach something. Move on.
Well, this is teaching English, because that's a phrase there, brush with death. Or in Mr. Steve's case,
I realised I'd wasted my life, Mr. Duncan.
Can you hear me talking?
And I had to,
Steve.
I have to reform myself and lead a better life.
Can you hear me talking?
No, I'm just too excited.
I know, I can tell. So what I was going to say is it isn't a brush with death. In Mr. Steve's case, it was a bush with death. See? Tree.
Not quite sure. Anyway.
Tree, bush, you see.
What type of movies do I like? Science fiction.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, let's move on.
We have a lot of things to talk about. We are looking at being... You okay, Steve? Are you sure that tree didn't hit you?
I'm alive! I'm alive!
Well, that's open for debate, I have to say. Mr. Steve, we have a new friendly animal.
Yes.
A new animal has started coming to the house. Because, well, basically, most animals that come to us come for one reason, and that reason is food. They always come because they know there is food nearby. And we have a lovely little animal that has started coming to the garden. I'm going to show you a video that I made of this particular creature. It's a lovely little animal. And then we will have a look at Mr. Steve feeding this animal as well. So we'll take a quick break. I will show you this, and then we will talk about our new friend that has recently started coming into the garden. Oh my goodness. Isn't that the most amazing looking bird? And we get lots of those birds around this area. That, of course, was a pheasant. And there are many pheasants around this area. They are actually artificially bred. So they are bred. So they will be put into the wild. And then during a certain time of year, they will be hunted. And I know what you're going to say, Mr. Duncan, that is very cruel. So that little guy that you just saw, now we think it might be a very young one because over the past few days it has started coming into the garden and, well, I will show you what happened yesterday. So this is what happened yesterday. It actually came up to Mr. Steve and Steve was able to feed it, which is very unusual because normally this particular type of bird is very, well, I would describe it as a nervous animal. Would you?
Yes, that's the male version of the pheasant, isn't it? The female version is nowhere near as colourful. But yes, they don't usually come into your garden at all. And if they even catch a glimpse of you, they usually, rather than fly off, they sort of make a they don't like to fly. They're not very good flyers.
No, I think they're quite lazy birds.
They've got very poor wings, and they run a bit like a road runner.
Here we go. So here is Steve now actually feeding it, and it's coming right up to Steve because it's realised that Steve has food. And this bird should not be doing this. It normally by now, if Mr. Steve was anywhere near this bird, it would fly away, it would run, it would flee as fast as it could. But no, this one has decided, I am going to stay here. I am going to stay here for a long time, especially if there is food involved. Isn't that lovely? So there it is, right lovely. Next to us.
And there's a lot of them in the countryside in the UK. They're not a protected species. They're not in threat of extinction or anything like that. They're very. I don't know if they're indigenous to this country, but they certainly are. They're everywhere.
Yes.
And at certain times of the year, you are allowed to hunt them. And you will see them hanging up at the local butcher.
Yes.
And you can go to a restaurant and you will see pheasant on the menu. It's a dark meat, quite a strong flavour. So yes, they're beautiful. I wouldn't want to kill one.
Look at that! Look. Oh, isn't that so lovely? They are the most amazing looking birds because they have so many different colours. Light brown, dark brown, green, blue, and red around its eyes. So there it was, our new visitor to the garden, a lovely, friendly pheasant. Isn't that lovely? It hasn't come today, but I would imagine by this evening, I think it will visit the garden at least once. So there are many of those birds around here, many of them, but this one is very unusual.
Yes, I think I don't know why it's become so tame is the word you would use.
Yes, that's a good
if
word.
Something is tame.
Good word.
It means that it will approach humans, because a lot of these wild animals are not tame. A tame bird, something that normally would be very nervous about being around people. I think it's visiting other gardens in the area, and I think probably when it was quite young, somebody locally started to feed it, and it became used to humans.
That's interesting because I think it is a young one. We think it is a very young bird, so it still hasn't started to learn what it should do and what it should not do. So
we'll have to teach it.
We have to be very careful though, because if it becomes too friendly, then it might come to harm in the future during the hunting season.
They're very easy to hunt.
Yeah.
I've never gone hunting. People use, shotguns to kill them. They're very easy to hunt because they're very poor and slow flyers. So what will happen is that they're in the woods skulking along. They seem to walk everywhere. They prefer to walk, and they walk in a very graceful way with their feet. It's quite beautiful to watch them walking.
They're quite
very graceful
animals, yes.
And what will happen is that people will walk ahead of the men with the guns, or women, and they will beat the ground, and the birds fly up into the air, and they're very easy targets, unfortunately. But yeah, nice to have in the garden.
Mr. Steve, talking of things that are around, at the moment we are all being told to be careful with our personal hygiene. So this is the reason why I've started carrying my hand sanitizer again. Remember this? For around about 3 years, we were all told to have this and keep our hands nice and clean. Well, we have a similar situation happening now here in the UK with a particular type of virus that it's not very nice. Now, Steve is the expert, not me. But I do know that it's not a very nice thing to have. So what is it called, Steve? This thing at the moment we are all being told to be careful of here
We've
in the
got
UK.
an outbreak in the UK, in certain parts of the UK, which is common at this time of the year. It's the winter vomiting virus, or
Otherwise-
winter vomiting bug, also known as norovirus.
Norovirus.
Noro virus. And it's a very, very contagious virus. Carried in feces,
Yes.
poo, as Mr. Duncan likes to say.
I don't say poo, I say poop.
Poop. And you can get these outbreaks in hospital wards. It's quite popular. It's quite common, or used to be common, in hospital wards, where the virus can be carried in the air as well, but you don't need very much of it, and it gets into your stomach, and it's not very nice. It's vomiting. There's a lot of vomiting, a lot of diarrhea.
Can it be fatal?
Yeah, well, if you're elderly and you've got other conditions, then it could be quite serious. There's quite a lot of people in hospital with it at the moment in the UK.
So it's one of those. I think it's one of those illnesses that could easily be transferred in a situation where people are always in the same place. So maybe a hospital, and then of course you have people visiting the hospital, and maybe they are bringing something into the hospital. And as we know from experience, recent experiences, we've all had them, I suppose, all the countries around the world. These things can spread very quickly.
The winter vomiting bug always comes around this time of the year, and it's poor hygiene that causes it to spread. Because if somebody has some diarrhea or vomit and then they don't wash their hands properly, handles, somebody else goes in, touches the handle, and then they unconsciously might chew a nail or rub their eyes, and the virus gets in like that. So if you wash your hands a lot, you can get away with it. But you can get it in restaurants if the staff working there can contaminate your food with it if they don't wash their hands. And we've had this, Mr. Duncan, and we've told this story many years ago.
I think it was Christmas, I want to say Christmas 2016.
Christmas, somewhere, yes, that sounds about right. Mother came to stay. We went out to a restaurant 24 hours later, because it comes on very quickly, 48 hours. You feel like you're going to be sick. You can't stop it. And for 48 hours, it's coming out of every orifice.
Yes, everything. So it's coming out your mouth, and the other end, it's coming out of everywhere.
An orifice. There's a good word for you.
Orifice.
An orifice.
It's basically a hole.
An opening.
Yes.
Your mouth. I'll leave you to fill
most
in the
people
blanks.
Most people think of this as an orifice.
That's an orifice, an opening.
Yes, and other places as well.
And other places. We've got one at each end.
Your ears.
Of our alimentary canal.
Well, Steve, you might say your ears are orifices.
I'm not sure whether you could refer to your ears as orifices, because I don't think it doesn't really go. I'm not sure that you would.
Yeah. Well, people stick things in their ears. I remember I used to all the time when I was a kid. So that's the reason why I've started carrying around my hand sanitizer. I squirt some on my hands.
But Mr. Duncan.
Oh, yes.
The hand sanitizer is not very effective at killing the norovirus, apparently. So don't rely on that. Just wash your hands very well. Only if you're coming to the UK, but I expect it's not just in the UK, it's everywhere. And you get it on cruise ships as well.
Wow.
If you've got one member of the crew who's got this virus and doesn't wash their hands properly, and sometimes these cruise ships have had to sort of anchor just offshore somewhere, because everyone on the boat's got this vomiting bug, and so they're not allowed on shore.
Not very nice.
It's a common one.
It's not. Why do you keep saying it's popular? I don't think it's popular.
It's not popular at all.
No,
it's horrible.
It's the opposite of popular. But it is a seasonal thing that normally comes around in the winter. Anyway, we are okay. Mr. Steve, all Mr. Steve has to worry about is falling trees coming down from above and crushing him.
You see, I've got a habit of chewing my nails. And it's sort of unconscious. You don't realise you're doing it sometimes. And it only takes that one little in the mouth. And that's enough.
Yes.
To give you probably all sorts of things.
Yeah. Well, this reminds me of COVID. COVID was the same. You were not supposed to put your hands near your face or when you're eating to make sure you wash your hands. So it's very similar. So this is just happening here in the UK, but it does come around normally during the winter. That's the reason why, as Steve correctly said, it's often called the winter vomiting bug.
Children get it a lot.
Yes.
Because they're always putting their fingers in their mouth.
Yes.
And, not washing their hands very well. And then,
Filthy.
of course, they pass it on to adults.
Filthy little creatures.
Filthy little creatures.
They really are. Hey, Mr. Steve, it's coming up to 3 o'clock here in the UK. I hope you are having a good Sunday where you are. We are going to have a little bit of fun later on. Please stick around. We are talking about being cynical and also being sceptical. And we are going to have some fun with idioms. I love idioms. In the English language and in most languages, there are idioms, types of phrases that we use to express a feeling, an event, an occurrence, or an action. So we will be doing that later on, but we will be doing it with a little different twist, you see, a little different flavour, because we will be showing pictures and we will be asking you to guess what the idiom is. So that should be interesting. We'll have a very quick break and then we are back with the differences between being cynical and being sceptical. You might not realise that there is an actual difference between those things, but believe it or not, there is. We will be right back in just a few seconds. Why do people think we are mad? I really don't know why. English Addict is here today. I hope you are still there as well. And we are live for another hour. We have lots of things to talk about. We are looking at idioms by using pictures. So I'm going to show some pictures later on, and I will be encouraging you out there in YouTube land to come up with your own ideas as to what those pictures represent. Can I also just mention very quickly, I haven't mentioned it yet, please like and subscribe. It is very important. You have no idea, maybe you don't realise how important it is to do that thing, to give me a like, but also to subscribe as well. If you could do that, I will be ever so pleased. Mr. Steve is with us as well. There he is, look.
Hello.
Looking amazing today, considering this morning he had a rather unpleasant...
My brush with death.
His brush with death.
It's the closest I've come for a while. As I said earlier as well, it's you get this on the roads, don't you, quite a lot.
We do.
Big lorry coming towards you, you're turning right, and you didn't look properly, and suddenly a great big lorry,
Well, apparently Luis Mendez has had 3 brushes.
3 brushes with death.
With death.
Maybe if you're... No, I don't think Lewis wants to talk about it.
No, well, I wasn't going to ask...
No, I was going to say, if anybody else can relate to us, if you want to, I know we're moving on to another subject, but if you've had a brush with death or a close encounter with death, it's a bit of a morbid subject, but you live to tell the tale.
Yes. Does it make you a better person? So I think sometimes if you do, especially if it's serious, Steve, if it's a serious thing, I think sometimes a person can create their own God complex where they believe that they are kind of indestructible and they can do anything. 2 people that I don't know personally, but I do know they've had their own brush with death, of course. Donald Trump had his brush with death when someone decided to take a pot shot at him. And of course, one of the leaders in this country, Nigel Farage, he was in a light aircraft that crashed, and there are those amazing pictures of him inside the aircraft, and they were lifting him out of the wreckage of the plane. And so I think sometimes if a person has that experience, maybe they feel as if they are a stronger person. And that's what you said, Steve, wasn't it? It does have an effect. You feel more alive.
Yes, that's right. You may reevaluate your life because of that. So you suddenly appreciate the fleeting nature of life.
Beatrice had one.
Oh, yes, 2016. Well, I had one when I was in my early 20s.
Yes.
A head-on car crash with another car that was overtaking. It wasn't my fault.
No one seems interested in me. What about me?
What about you? Have you had a brush with death, Mr. Duncan?
I have to say, I don't think I have. That's bizarre, isn't it? Well, so far.
Well,
up until
touch wood.
Up until this point, I haven't in my life had a brush with death. The only time I've had it is when I was born. That was my only brush with death because I was born dead. They had to revive me when I was born because I was premature. So my only brush with death was when I was born. And they were able to revive me, and they had to put me in one of those little glass boxes so I could grow on my own.
Because you were very underweight, weren't you, when you were born?
You could actually put me in your hand like that. You could actually hold me in your hand when I was born.
What did you weigh, Mr. Duncan?
I was 2 months premature, and I weighed just over 1 pound.
1 pound?
What's wrong?
Is that possible? Do you mean 2 pounds?
Maybe 2. What's a bag of sugar?
A bag of sugar is 2 pounds.
That's it then. That one. I was too young to remember, you see. There was a lot going on around me at the time.
A fetus. You were born as a fetus.
There was a lot going on at the time. But I was very tiny because I was 2 months premature. So that's my only brush with death, was actually being born.
There we go.
Yeah.
One's enough. We don't want any more, Mr. Duncan.
We don't want any more.
What about when you fell over in Italy last year?
Yeah.
That wasn't really a brush with death.
Not really, no, because I was fine. I think it's only if that thing almost killed you, or maybe if something was serious enough where you thought you were going to die. But,
I mean, really, I wouldn't. The tree didn't fall on me and I survived.
No, but it's still scary.
I was, probably 10 metres away when it fell.
And you said it was just a few seconds.
It was literally, yes. If I had set off a little later, maybe 10 seconds later, it literally was 10 seconds. Well, I think it was less than that, from when I heard the first crack to then hearing a second crack as the wind really blew the tree over. I think it was probably about 6 or 7 seconds, which was enough for me to get out of the way. But if I'd set off from the house, 10 seconds later than I did, maybe I retied a lace in my shoe, or I decided to do something else. Maybe how things can delay
Steve,
you.
Maybe your bladder was full and you had to relieve yourself. You had to have a wee behind a tree. And that was the tree that fell over.
Exactly.
What? Imagine that. Imagine me having to explain why you were found with your trousers down under a tree. Well, I don't know why. I really don't know why Mr. Steve was found under a tree with his trousers down. I really don't know why.
Moving on, Christina says that she's had brushed with death often.
Oh.
It must be your risky lifestyle.
Maybe
Christina.
It's a personal thing.
Probably skiing. I would imagine that's a little, dangerous, definitely. But then you don't know. A lot of people like to do risky sports.
Yes.
Cycling, maybe a bit of racing, driving, because you feel alive then. I think I suffer from that, Mr. Duncan. I need a bit more excitement in my life.
You do. Isn't
Definitely.
this... Steve, we are now live on the internet at this very moment in time. This should be as exciting as life can get.
Well, it is pretty exciting. I must admit, Mr. Duncan. I'm always excited to come on.
Talking of exciting things, we have our big subject, and then we are going to have some fun with idioms a little later on. So there are words that we often use during certain periods of time, and these days, 2 words that I hear people use quite often is skeptic and cynic. And a lot of people, believe it or not, get these words confused. So I thought we would have a quick look through the differences and the meanings of those words. So first of all, we will look at the word skeptic, and here it is now on the screen. And you can see the word. Now, I know someone is going to say, Mr. Duncan, you have spelt that word incorrectly. Can I first of all say I haven't? That is the correct spelling. I will tell you why a little bit later on. So the word skeptic. What is a skeptic? The word skeptic is a noun that means a person who mistrusts or doubts the authenticity of accepted beliefs. So things maybe that people believe or people trust. A skeptic will actually have the opposite view. They will doubt that thing. They will find something that they don't trust or they don't believe, even if that thing is widely accepted by other people. So it is a very interesting word. A person who mistrusts people, ideas, etc. in general. So I suppose, Steve, in that respect, we are talking about a person who generally, in their day-to-day life, might be a skeptic.
Yes, you might be the sort of person that, well, sometimes a skeptic is a person that is just not accepting everything that's told to them. So it's actually being a skeptic sometimes is a positive trait to have, because it means you're not accepting everything that's told to you. I mean, if somebody, you might be skeptical of my story today of being close to death. You might say, I bet that didn't really happen. I bet he exaggerated that a bit. I'm sceptical of that story. Or if somebody said to you, for example, I saw a lion walking through the park in the town the other day.
Okay.
You might be a bit sceptical
Mhm.
because you would think, lions walking in the park in the middle of the town, very unlikely. So, but somebody else might say, "Oh, it's incredible! I can't believe you saw that. Tell me more about it." I mean, they might have made the story up. It could be true, but you might think, "Well, you don't see many lions in the town centre." I'm sceptical of that. Don't really believe it.
There is one thing that a lot of people believe that an equally large group don't believe, and that is the occurrence of UFOs.
Yes.
Or spaceships from other planets coming here. So there are people who really do believe it, and it is widely believed by groups of people. However, other people, they feel as if they don't believe it. Maybe these people are just hallucinating, or maybe they've been taking some strange pills.
Yes.
So maybe a person who they doubt what a person's saying. We have to move on. So here's another one, Steve. We are looking at many uses. A skeptic finds reasons not to trust, almost as a habit or compulsion. So there are some people, I know you've probably met this type of person, Steve. In fact, I think sometimes maybe you are a little bit of a skeptic yourself sometimes. I know I am. I think maybe I am also a skeptic with certain things. But some people can't control that feeling of doubting or not believing things. Some people just don't trust anything at all.
Yeah, you can be accepting of some things and sceptical of others. It doesn't have to be that you're always mistrustful or you don't believe what people are saying. It's just maybe a certain concept or an idea, like belief in UFOs. You might say, well, I'm sceptical because you might not have seen any actual evidence. You might be the sort of person that wants to see evidence to prove what that other person is telling you is true. So until you see that proof, you're not willing to accept what they're telling you.
Yes.
For example, UFOs. I've never seen a UFO, so I'm sceptical. That's very different from whether you might want to believe. You might really want to believe that there are aliens visiting us, but it probably would be wise to be sceptical, because unless you've got actual evidence, then you can't actually prove it one way or the other.
So it's things that haven't necessarily been proved, but they are widely believed. I suppose you could say ghosts as well, ghosts and strange creatures living in the forest. I think that was just Mr. Steve taking his walk. A skeptic can also be someone who doubts the truth of religion. So we often hear skeptic used when we are talking about wide beliefs. And of course, you might use religion as a good example. So people who are they doubt that religion is real, or maybe they are not religious at all. A person who maintains a doubting attitude. Interesting, doubting, to doubt something.
You're not willing to accept what somebody tells you without evidence. I think that's a skeptic, is a person who is skeptical, and it just means you want to see the evidence of or proof of whatever somebody is telling you is true, and until you see that, you're not going to believe it. Whereas some people will accept things just on faith. Religion is one example, whereas you to accept or have belief in a particular religion, you have to have a degree of faith.
Yes.
Because you're never going to get absolute proof of what you're being told. So the opposite of that would be somebody who would be sceptical. They would want to see the evidence to prove whatever what you're saying is true.
And that is kind of the long-running argument with anything that can't be completely proved or disproved. And I think that's probably the reason why people use religion as that example. Moving on, to doubt what is seen as accepted beliefs or to distrust others is to be, and Mr. Steve just used this word, to be sceptical as an adjective. So the adjective form is sceptical. A person would be described as sceptical if they doubt a certain thing. They have disbelief of a certain thing. You would describe that person as sceptical.
Yes.
A sceptical person will not accept or believe what they are told. So maybe new information that comes along. And I suppose you might say that these days we do live in a world where perhaps, I don't know what you think about this, Steve, but perhaps people are more sceptical than they used to be.
Here's another example. AI. Everyone's talking about artificial intelligence. Is going to destroy jobs. The human race is going to be destroyed. You might be a bit sceptical of that. You might think, well, it might, but we haven't really got the evidence yet. Let's see what happens. Some people might just accept it. Science, a lot of people are sceptical of science, aren't they?
Yes.
Or even of things like evolution, which is, as far as I'm aware, has been pretty much proven. But some people will still say they're sceptical because they might not be willing to look at the evidence because they probably don't want to believe it. They would rather believe in creation, for example.
I think that it might be fair to say there are levels sometimes of being sceptical.
Yes.
So you might find, well, I can accept that part, but I can't really accept that part. So you might find a person has that sceptical nature towards something, but maybe they don't reject all of it. Maybe there are certain things, certainly when we talk about science, Steve, and I think that is a very good point to make, because we had this during COVID, if you remember. Goodness me, suddenly every person became a medical expert overnight. A non-believer is a skeptic. You might also describe them as a doubter as well.
Somebody, I used to be a manager at work, and you would have certain people who were always going off sick at work, particularly on a Monday and a Friday. You get a phone call on a Monday. Oh, I'm not very well. I need to take the day off work. I've got a bad cold, or I've got a stomach upset, or a bad back. You might be sceptical if that happens routinely on a Monday or a Friday, because people will often take extra time off work, won't they? They might have had, for example, a very busy party weekend, and then they're hungover on Monday morning. They don't want to go to work, and they phone up and say that they're sick. But managers are always suspicious when staff take a Monday off, because they think that they're probably, I'm a bit sceptical. Are they really ill? If it's a Friday, they just want a long weekend.
Yeah. So either way, so if you have a Monday off from work, your boss will probably think you are lying, and equally, if you have an illness on Friday, so you just want to, or even, Steve, you could have the jackpot. You can have the big jackpot, and you could actually have Monday off and Friday, or should I say the Friday and then the Monday so you have a 4-day weekend because you are so ill.
I know, I hate being ill over the weekend and not well enough to go to work. Just genuinely ill.
People never believe you.
Because when you phone up on a Monday and say that you're not well, you automatically know, having been a manager myself, you will automatically know that your manager will be sceptical as to whether you're really ill or not.
Yes, that is actually very good. I like that example, by the way.
But that's crossing over into cynicism as well, which I know you're going to come on to.
That's it. We're doing that in a moment.
Blind faith, says Inaki. Blind faith, yes. Blind faith means that you just believe in something. You don't even make any... I mean, there's faith in something. Blind faith is just... You're just willing to accept anything.
Yes.
Without any kind of evidence.
Yes.
UFOs.
Ghosts.
For example.
All of those
I believe in them because it's usually blind faith. It's because you want to believe in that thing.
Yeah. We've got to move on.
Yeah.
Here we go, the spelling. So as I mentioned earlier, there is a difference between American English and British English. The spelling of this word is different between those two uses of English in British and American English. So there is a difference. So this is the spelling that we often use in British English, and of course in American English they often use it with a K, the letter K. So that is what a lot of people might be getting confused.
We've had one or two comments in the live stream on the live chat about that, so that's... Thanks for putting that up, Mr. Duncan.
So there is a difference. The British English is spelt with a C as the second letter, and as a second letter in American English it is a K, but the meanings are basically the same. A sceptical person will often not trust those in power or those with authority. And I suppose this ties in with the current climate in the world, where a lot of people don't really believe most of the things they hear these days. I think maybe all of us have become a little bit sceptical.
I think as you get older as well, as you get older you become more sceptical because you've experienced things where you've believed somebody and it's turned out not to be true. You know, as you get these sort of knocks as you go through life, you become more sceptical of things.
Yes.
As you get older, more willing to question rather than just accept what somebody is telling you.
Yes, I think that's a very good way of looking at it. A word that is often confused with skeptic is cynic. So it is interesting how these words do get mixed up. You will often hear people say he is a cynic when they want to say he is a skeptic, because those words do seem to be the same. They even sound very similar. However, there is a big difference, and quite a large difference between those things. A cynic is a person who believes that only selfishness motivates human actions. That is to say, if a person does something that is on the surface nice, kind, generous, you will doubt that. You will assume that they're not doing it because they are generous, they are not doing it because they have a good heart, they are doing it for their own selfish reasons. A cynical person. So a person who is a cynic, a person who believes that only selfishness motivates human actions. That is to say, all actions. Good. Well, of course, bad actions are done for a bad reason, but a person might be generous, they might do something kind, they might do something in a nice, generous way, and you might find that you are a little cynical. You are a cynic. To be a person who does not believe in selfless acts or neutral opinions is a cynic. So there is a definite difference between those two words, isn't there, Steve?
Yes, certainly being cynical is a more negative word. Being sceptical just means that you're questioning something that somebody's telling you. But being cynical is quite a negative personality trait, really, which often comes, again, this is a kind of behaviour or position that you take as you tend to get older, particularly if you've been let down by people who seem to be doing good things and it turns out they're only doing it for themselves.
Yes.
And the example I was using earlier, which about somebody who was always off on a Monday or a Friday from work, off sick, when they've done it lots of times, you will tend to think, oh, I think they're just making that up. I don't think they're really ill. They've done it so many times. I'm suspicious. And then a colleague of yours might say, that's very cynical of you to believe that they're not being genuine here, that they are not really. They're not sick at all. They're just taking a day off work.
It's interesting because in that respect, you might also be using it for attention or sympathy. So it is anything that is done that appears to be genuine, but underneath there is another reason for it. Quite often, a person who is cynical will think, whatever that person is doing, there must be another reason, normally a bad reason or a dark reason, a disbelief in altruistic actions. Now, there is a great word. Quite often, a person might be cynical. They are a cynic. They have a disbelief in kindness. People do things, they do nice things and kind things because they want something in return. They want some sort of recognition. They want maybe an award or money or fame. So it is interesting that a person who is a cynic quite often looks at those things in a negative way. A cynical person views all human actions as selfish. A cynic might be described as a misanthrope. That's an interesting word. A person who dislikes humanity generally. And there are many people around like that. We've met a few people in our lives who might be described as very cynical. So a cynical person views all human actions as selfish in some way.
Yes, so Christina has put a good example on here of a shop assistant trying to sell you a dress, saying, oh, you look beautiful in that dress. But you might think, does she really think I look beautiful in that dress, or is she just trying to sell it? In other words, the shop assistant is coming from a selfish angle, that she doesn't care at all whether you look good in that dress. All that assistant wants to do is sell the dress to you. And then somebody might, if you say that to somebody, they might say that you're cynical. You're saying, well, you're only saying that. Or you might say to the shop assistant, you know, do I look beautiful in that dress, or are you just trying to sell it to me? And the shop assistant might say, oh, you're just being cynical. But yeah, so your view is that people are only motivated by their own self-interest. That's how, and it's quite a negative trait to have in your character.
Yes, it's quite destructive.
It's quite destructive because you don't really trust people. It can make you quite depressed as a person if you go through life believing that everybody is really against you and they're not going to do anything unless they're getting something out of it themselves. I mean, it's quite commonly people say about charity workers, don't they? They quite often say that just because if you work for a charity, you are getting something out of it yourself. You don't ever do anything for purely unselfish reasons.
Unless you're doing
rarely.
But even if you're doing it for no payment, maybe you are doing it voluntarily, you might also be accused of doing it because you want some sort of award or some sort of reward later. down the road as you are doing that thing over time. So it is interesting how the difference between skeptic and cynic can often be confused, but as we've seen, they do actually have very different meanings, don't they, Steve?
Yes, yeah, because a cynical person has a very, almost like a depressing demeanour. It's very, as Beatrice says here, I don't like cynical people. I keep my distance from them because they tend to sort of drag you down because they're always moaning about things. And it is, and it is something you can develop, allowed to come into your character as you get older. Of course, some people are let down more than others. I mean, if you've been let down by lots of partners who have cheated on you, then it might. You might have a tendency to become very cynical then about ever getting into a relationship with somebody else.
So every time a person comes to you and they appear to like you, or they appear to be interested in you, you would immediately push them away because you assume that what they are saying and their emotions are not real. You don't trust them because you've had bad experiences in the past.
Yes. I mean, a certain amount of cynicism, it can be quite, because it can cloud your or it can cloud your view of reality. Really, it's better to be skeptical and just sort of want the evidence and question. Cynical is a definite behavioural trait, isn't it? It's a character trait.
Yes,
being cynical. Of course, you can describe, I don't know whether you're coming on to this, you can describe actions of people as being cynical. If, for example, a politician abuses his position, you can say that he did that cynically.
Yes.
I don't know if you're coming on to that.
Well, we're about to finish that topic.
Right. So if for example, during COVID, we were all told to stay at home and not have parties, not associate with other people so as not to spread the virus. But many politicians were caught, weren't they? Going to parties.
They were socialising against the rules, and you could say that person was a cynical person. They cynically disobeyed the rules. In other words, selfishly. Yes.
Did that, knowing that they were breaking the rules, knowing that if anybody else found out, it would cause a lot of upset.
Yes, there's a certain sense of, I suppose another word is hypocrisy as well. So a person is telling you to do something, they appear to have virtue. However, then they go away and they do the opposite. So that is a cynical action. I think in fact, Steve, I think that is probably a very good point to make, because people become cynical because of other people's hypocrisy, and they go back on the things that they've said, or their actions are not real or genuine. I think that's very interesting. We've got to move on.
Yes, so I was just going to say, so there are two actions of that. You are a cynical person, or you can act cynically. Yes. So there's two aspects to that word, really. Somebody that abuses their position, abuses maybe opinion, or disregards laws or ways of behaving to try and get away with it.
Yes.
And you can say they act in a cynical way. A judge might describe somebody, you robbed that house, you stole, you murdered in a cynical fashion, a disregard for public opinion or the correct way of behaving.
Okay, we've got to move on now because we are desperately running out of time, and we've got at least another 40 or 50 minutes of stuff to do. I don't think Steve even realises just how much.
Mr. Duncan, I'm hungry. I'm tired.
Yes, well, we've got to be professional. Come on, stay with me. Stay with me, Mr. Steve. I know you've had a busy day with your brush with death. So here we go. I'm only joking, by the way. Steve always takes what I say too seriously sometimes. But No, I'm only joking. So here we go then. We are going to look at a part of English that many people find fascinating, including me. I do love idioms. I find expressions and those metaphors that we use in life, I do find them rather interesting. So for the last part of today's live stream, I thought we would have a look at some pictures that I've designed myself, and they all relate to certain phrases or idioms. So we will have the first one, and then you will see what I mean. Hopefully you will understand what I'm aiming for in this situation. So we are going to call this, we're calling this, Mr. Steve, Guess the Picture Idiom. That is what it is called. So first of all, can I just say, Steve, it's not that I don't trust you. Don't give the answer.
Well, I probably won't know the answer, Mr. Duncan, because I haven't seen these.
I'm just...
but I won't give the answer. My lips are sealed.
I do remember once when we tried doing this, and Steve kept just shouting the answers out. It's like you couldn't control yourself.
That was the early days. I was, not used to being live in this way.
Trust me, yeah, you've hardly changed. I mean, only joking, Steve.
You're being very cynical, Mr. Duncan.
Am I?
Suggesting that I'm going to just give the answer.
So here we go then. Please don't do it, Steve. Please don't do it. Please, I beg you. Here we go.
Or were you being sceptical?
So here is the first one. This is a well-known phrase that we use in English coming up now. Please, Steve, please don't say anything. So you can see from the image, so a certain thing is happening, a certain thing is taking place, but it is also expressing a phrase as well, a well-known phrase in English. Of course, we have to wait for a few moments because there is 30 seconds of time between this going out and the answers coming back. So in total, it takes 30 seconds. So if it seems like we are just talking and saying nothing, that's the reason why. So we will wait, we will get some answers up there. So you can see that a certain thing is happening, a certain thing is taking place. I know Mr. Steve knows this one. I'm pretty sure Mr. Steve knows
A lot of people know it. We've got lots of answers.
Oh, okay. So we have Alessandra. Vitas has given an answer. Christina, I think Christina was first, actually, with the answer.
Christina was first.
So
not that there's a prize or anything for being first.
Sadly, there isn't a prize. Unfortunately, maybe a nice happy wave from me, or maybe a nice wet kiss from Mr. Steve. So we will put the answer on the screen, and then we will explain what the phrase actually means. So this is just an example just to show you, and here is the answer, Mr. Steve.
Spill the beans.
Spill the beans. To
spill the beans, or yeah.
Spill
Christina
the beans.
wants a kiss.
Spill the beans. Who wants a kiss?
Christina.
Well, that's not my job. That's yours, Steve. That's your job.
You can have a real one in Paris.
I hope there's no norovirus in that.
There's no norovirus in that. You're quite safe.
Norovirus. I went to school with her. She's a lovely girl. Spill the beans. What does it mean, Steve, if you spill the beans?
If you spill the beans, it means you tell some information that should be withheld. You let some secret out that you maybe should have kept to yourself. Come on, spill the beans. What happened with you and John last night?
Yes.
Spill the beans.
Yes.
Tell us what happened.
So there might be some information that you are desperate to receive, maybe something you really want to know.
I saw you getting into his car last night.
Oh.
Tell me what happened. Spill the beans.
If you spill the beans, it means you reveal a secret, something that was hidden away, and now it has been revealed. I suppose you can also say, let the cat out of the bag, I suppose. Here is another one, Mr. Steve. Another one coming up. Please don't say what it is. Here's an interesting one. Ah, yes. Guess the idiom from the picture. What is it?
A hammer.
Hammer.
A safe.
Yes.
With the word bank on it.
So you might actually describe this perhaps as a kind of action, or maybe the result of something happening. And this is it's a very well-known phrase, especially if you have to spend a lot of money. Suddenly you find that you have to spend a lot of money, like poor Mr. Steve last week. Mr. Steve's tyres on his car, he's had to buy some new ones. So you might actually use this expression to describe what Mr. Steve had to do last week to buy his new tyres. So can I just say, Christina is very good at this. Almost too good, to be honest.
Yeah, Beatrice has got it as well. Bankrupt, says Inaki.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyway, Mr. Duncan's going to tell us.
Well, you might be surprised to find out there are two possible answers to this.
Right.
Now, even I realised, as I was designing this, even I realised that there were actually two answers and not just one. So,
Christina wants another.
You can only have one kiss. You know, Steve can't keep giving these kisses out.
I remember when a famous opera singer, a tenor, was sung this top C. Everybody knows about the top notes in a tenor, like in Nessun Dorma. That wonderful top C in that, whatever it is. And someone was being, I can't remember who it was now. I don't think it was Pavarotti.
It's a good story.
Pardon?
It's a good story.
Yeah, and anyway, he was asked, in an interview, can you do that again after he did that high note? He was being interviewed. Can you do that again? And his reply was, I've only got so many of those.
Oh, okay.
Which is true.
So that's your answer.
So I can only give so many kisses.
So Mr. Steve only has so many kisses that he can give in his life.
I'm joking. We're all joking, of course.
I'm not. Here we go then. Steve, we've got to carry on.
Yes.
Please. Here is the answer then. We've had quite a few, actually. We've had some interesting... yes. Yes, I think so. Thank you, Beatrice. Ruchika as well. Ruchika. Very interesting. They're all very close. Here we go. So there are two possible answers to this. First of all, you might break the bank. You see? So
break
that is
the bank.
Break the bank. So the hammer is hitting the safe. It is slowly starting to crack. You break the bank. And that normally means that you have to spend a lot of money on something.
The implication is that you are going to spend so much money that the bank will somehow go bust or will break. You're withdrawing so much money. It's a phrase that's used to exaggerate or to indicate that you are spending a lot of money.
Yes. Also, you can use it when you are stating or expressing that something does not cost a lot of money. You can say, this is very affordable. It won't break the bank.
Yes.
So it's the opposite. It says it is good value. And this is interesting, I only realised that this has two possibilities. Of course, you might crack a safe. You see?
Well, you've put bank on there, but yes, you're right.
Yes, well, That doesn't matter really.
Let's break the bank.
Yes.
Or I've got to buy 2 new tyres. They're going to break the bank.
Yes. Or
it
Steve,
means your account, really.
We've just said that.
Or
Crack.
I know. Or somebody might say to you, "Oh, why don't you buy these perfumes off me that I'm selling? They won't break the bank.
No.
In other words, they're quite affordable."
Yes. But so what about this one?
Crack the safe.
If you crack a safe, what does it mean?
It means you're robbing a bank.
Yes, you break into it.
Yeah.
You break into the safe. You find the code. So quite often safes. Sorry?
No, carry on.
Safes will have a number, a code. You have to.
Oh yes, a safe cracker.
Yes, if you
is
crack
a person.
If you crack a safe, it means you break into it.
You break into it. A safe cracker can break into a safe.
Here's another one, Steve. We've got to move on because we are desperately running out of time. Oh, I like this one. I had a lot of fun making this one. It took me a long time to design this. Don't say anything, Steve. So here is an interesting one. It almost looks like a prog rock album cover. That would be a really good album cover for a progressive rock group, I think. I don't know why. It looks almost surreal. But that is a well-known phrase. It's a well-known phrase, Mr. Steve. So just say what you see from that. It is a certain type of clothing and a person is performing a certain action. So what is the phrase? I think this is a good one. I was quite pleased with this one. I thought, I've done well here. I've done well. It does look like an album cover from a progressive rock band.
Yes, I actually I'm struggling with that one.
Oh.
I'm thinking of something. By the way, while people are waiting there, English teacher has asked, what's the difference between talk to and talk with?
Well, talk to is you're talking to one person.
It's just you talking.
Oh, okay. So you're answering this then. Sorry, Steve. I'm in the middle of a contest.
Oh, I know, but
yes,
30,
Yes, talk to is addressing one person. You talk to someone or you talk to a group. But if you talk with someone, that normally means a conversation is taking place. So maybe both sides are talking. You talk with someone. So that normally suggests that a conversation is taking place between two people.
That's it.
So any guesses here?
We've got kick something, to kick a problem.
Oh.
Kick something, I don't know. I presume that isn't the answer. That is, you just don't know.
They're very, it's difficult, Christina says. Well, that makes a nice change.
You see, we started off nice and easy. You got lulled into a false sense of security.
I made the first one very easy.
There's a good phrase. You're lulled into a false sense of security. You feel as though everything's going to be all okay, and then suddenly something happens to completely change the situation. I got lulled into a false sense of security when I went for my walk today. I thought everything was going to be all right. Suddenly a big gust of wind and a tree fell over.
Yes.
I was lulled. If you're lulled, you're sort of almost mesmerised, almost hypnotised.
Yes, you're seduced
into thinking things are going to go a certain way, and then suddenly it changes.
Yes.
So anyway, you thought all these were going to be as easy as the first two,
Steve,
and now they're not.
Steve, please, we've got about another 8 of these.
I'm just fitting in all these English little.
We've got 8 more of these.
A rolling stone gathers no moss.
That's definitely not what it is.
I can't see a stone, and I can't see any moss.
Anyway, I'm going to put the answer up, Steve.
Go on.
Here it is. You will.
Is it put the boot in?
No.
Okay.
Here we go.
Oh.
Ah. Yeah. You didn't count on this brain.
Kick the habit.
Yes. Because that particular type of clothing is called a habit. And the person is kicking. They kick the habit. It is a well-known phrase. What does it mean, Mr. Steve?
It means that you get over some kind of addiction. You overcome an addiction.
Anything.
For example, to cigarettes. I want to kick the habit. It means that I want to stop smoking. I want to kick the habit. It could be drinking, eating chocolate, whatever it is. And a habit, of course, is it spelt the same way? The habit that
yeah. So as a person's behaviour that they can't stop doing, they feel compelled to do something, is a habit. So you kick the habit. It means you try to stop doing that thing. So that is it. A lot of people. I thought that was very good.
Yes, and a habit, of course, is something that a nun would wear, isn't it?
Yes.
It's religious clothing.
That's it.
A habit.
Yes.
But although your picture of a habit there, it looks I would normally think of it as being black.
Oh, okay.
Maybe, but anyway.
Well, a habit is any robe that covers the whole body. And normally, so that's more of that particular one there is more medieval.
Right, it's right. So that's why people were finding it difficult.
But it's still a habit. So that
yes.
Yeah. Here's another one, Steve. I like this one. I've been very creative, by the way. You can see just how creative I have been. Here's another one, Steve. Guess the picture idiom. I put a lot of work into this, by the way. And that is me, by the way. That picture of the man with the suitcase, that is actually me. It took me ages to set that photograph up. All of that I made myself right here in this room. Guess the picture idiom. Oh, this is a good one. I like these. Can I just say, it's not very often I say this, but these are really good. These are exceptional. Very good. You can steal these if you want. If you want to use these, you can in your own classroom. You can make your students as annoyed as I'm making mine right now.
The last one, you should have had somebody that looked more like a nun.
No,
anyway.
Thank you, Steve, for your criticism.
Lewis says, oh, yes. Oh, wow, yes. Lewis is a good well, but that would definitely fit. Lewis, yes, you could be right there. Yes, Vitas, somebody is waving to the sea, but that's not an idiom. That's you're just describing what is happening in the picture. So we're looking for an idiom here. What is an idiom, Mr. Duncan?
An idiom is a phrase or expression that takes one word or a group of words and uses them in a figurative sense. That is to say that they're not used in their literal sense. How's that? Is that near?
Oh, yes.
Straight to the point. So any guesses on this? It's a shame, actually, because we are running out of time, but I have some really good ones.
Oh, we can do a few more, Mr. Duncan. I don't mind going till, say, 2 minutes past 4. No, we can go on for a bit longer, Mr. Duncan.
Okay, as long as you don't mind.
All right, another 5 minutes will be fine, yes?
Yes. I did not know that expression, says Anarchy. That must be the previous one, kick the habit.
Well, I think Lewis has got certainly the closest.
So this...
Oh, yeah.
This one is interesting. Trin Nguyen says make waves. Well, that is a good answer because that is an idiom. So that actually is an idiom. If you make waves, it means you cause trouble or you create a commotion. You make waves. This one, I like this one. It took me a long time to make this. I had to hire the costume. I had to hire the boat. I had to find a place where there was lots of water. Here we go, Steve.
Miss the boat.
Miss the boat.
So I won't blow Lewis a kiss because I don't think he would appreciate that.
He might.
So I will instead cheer. Imagine this is a glass of wine.
Instead, he will throw a croissant at you.
Cheers, Lewis. Yes, you got it right. Miss the boat.
If you miss the boat, it means you have failed in getting or gaining an opportunity because it's already occurred.
Yes.
Something you were too late to actually take advantage of. Maybe I suppose a good example would be Bitcoin. If you wanted to invest some money in Bitcoin.
Have I missed the boat on cryptocurrency?
Okay.
Yeah, Bitcoin.
Maybe
have I missed the boat?
Maybe the value was low and that was the time to buy. So you always buy when it's low and you keep it and sell it when it's much higher. You wait for the value to go up. So maybe if you miss the boat, you miss your chance, your opportunity to do something. You sadly have missed the boat.
You've missed the boat, yes. Or missed the train that they say in... Beatrice says that they say in Argentina.
Interesting.
We've missed the train.
Yes. See,
missed the boat, missed the train.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
We don't use that one. Here we go then. Here's another one, Mr. Steve. I think this one's quite easy because I wanted to make some of them easy to make you all feel superior. Here we go. I like this one. I think this is a good one. This is a very simple one. I'm sure a lot of people will get this very quickly.
What is that? I can't see what. I can't tell. Is it a stone?
You can't see what it is. So, well, just wait. Just wait. We might get some answers. Maybe the lovely viewers will help. Mr. Steve.
In Italy, they also say "miss the train." I missed the train.
Oh, I see.
Missed an opportunity.
We always say missed the boat.
It's interesting, isn't it? People say different things in different countries.
You've missed the boat. This also looks like an album cover for a progressive rock group. You know, I might go into designing album covers for progressive rock groups. I think so.
What is that? Describe what the elements...
If I tell you what it is, it'll give the... I'm sure people can tell what it is. Surely. Let's just say it's something that... There we go. That's a subtle hint what it is.
Oh.
Yeah, you see. We have some smart cookies.
We do.
We have some smart cookies as our viewers.
Bye-bye, people that are leaving. See you next week.
Hopefully. We hope to be here next week unless one of us gets crushed by a tree again. Interesting.
Perhaps you should have used something more obviously like a... Anyway.
You're quite the critic today, Mr. Steve. I tell you what, next week you plan next week's lesson and then I will stand here and criticise what you've prepared. Here, okay, we will get this one out of the way. So you can see it is something you wear on your head and there is a little tag that says made in 1923. So it isn't something new. Whew. It is, okay, let's do it. Let's just do it.
I think Vitas has got this right.
Yes, Vitas has got it right. Old hat.
And so has Trin Nugent. So
It's a hat.
well done.
It's a hat. See, all I see there is a hat. And yet, Steve, what did you see, Steve?
From here, it looks like some kind of sea creature to me.
Really?
But yeah, maybe if you'd used like a bowler hat or something,
Okay.
it would have looked a bit more. Just, you know, not that I'm criticising. Josep's battery is dead.
Oh. So how are you still here then?
Well, it's probably they mean it's going.
Oh, I see. I was going to say, because if your battery's dead, then you won't be able to watch me.
Old brain, says Christina. So Christina thinks your hat looks like a brain.
Really?
Old hat, is that an idiom? Yes, it is.
It is something out of date, something that is no longer done, something that is obscure, or maybe something that has long since been forgotten is old hat.
That's very old hat. Wearing suits and ties to work now is very old hat.
Going up to your female secretary and putting your arms around her and telling her she's really, really lovely. That's very old hat.
That's also something else.
It's also illegal.
But yeah, if you... there's an example, because nobody, at least in the UK, in most places of work now, in the past, you would always men would go with a suit and a tie. But even me in sales, you would always go to a customer wearing a suit and a tie. I still do. And people sometimes say to me, "You're still wearing a suit in these days? That's very old hat."
Yes. It's a bit confusing there because they're both clothing related. Maybe a certain thing that you say, an expression that you use, that no one uses anymore. So this is an idiom, old hat. Something that is considered old hat is something that's been done many times before and maybe even is obsolete or no longer used. Here's another one, Steve. Another one that I've created all by myself. I like this one. I should have some music playing. A little bit of music. Guess the picture idiom. So you can see there is an I and something else, and that is an idiom. It is an expression that we use in English.
We're getting your brain cells working here.
Yes, including Mr. Steve's.
We're firing and wiring, as they say.
I can hear the sound. I can hear the sound of old rusty machinery turning around. That does sound like Mr. Steve.
Cogs. We often say as a joke, if you ask somebody a question and they sort of put on that expression that they're thinking, you might say, I can hear the cogs going round.
Yes.
Like the indication being that your brain is somehow working like an old clockwork toy. Slow.
Yes, an old piece of machinery.
An old piece of machinery. It's you're reacting very slowly to a question or to a problem that has been posed to you.
Yes.
I can hear the cogs whirring away. So it's not working as fast as like a modern computer would.
Well, just say what is there. You see, just say what is on your screen.
Christina says yes, to catch one's eye.
That's a good one. That's a good
one.
one.
Red, says Trin.
Trin New Win. Yes, that's a good answer.
Can't see beyond your nose. Yeah, you're all trying. So well done for putting suggestions into the live chat.
The answer is coming up right now, and this is something that we often refer to when we are expressing emotion. Emotion, quite often anger. You see red.
Well done, Trin.
Yes, well done.
Well done.
Trin, you win.
I don't know if you want a kiss or not, but
you've got it right. See red. If you see red, it means you become enraged or angry. You see red.
Yes, you see red. You often get it on the road. Somebody does something, cuts in front of you, and you see red, or the red mist. Some people sometimes describe it as, but the red, of course, is like a synonym of blood. Blood red, hot or fire.
Yes.
You get your temper is raised.
Well, a lot of people say when you become angry, you see red mist.
Yeah.
So that's what it's actually referring to.
You see red. Somebody, your boss at work might annoy you, might call you into their office and berate you for something that you should be doing, and you feel you see red. You get very angry while they're saying it. You may or may not respond in an angry fashion, but somebody at work says to you, "Oh, have you put on weight? That shirt's looking a bit tight on you these days," and you might see red. You might get very angry or annoyed.
To be provoked and become angry.
Yes.
Here's another one, Steve.
Somebody says or does something that makes you angry.
Yes, I think we've covered that one. Here's another one. Food related. Oh. You might have to look closely at this one. Mr. Steve might need his extra thick glasses for this. So there are two things on the screen there. Two things you are looking at.
Vedere rosso, you would say in Italian.
Oh.
Vedere rosso. Have I pronounced that correctly, Christina?
Probably not.
To become angry. Or angry eyes. Yeah. It's not actually skeptical.
So there's something there. Well, there, Steve. There's something there, and there's something there. So you are sort of comparing those things as well. Something there. See it? And there is something there. That's Mr. Steve. And there's something here. That's me.
There's an arrow pointing at some cheese with holes in it.
Okay, you don't have to. It's all right, Steve, because you're kind of giving the phrase away.
Well, I'm trying to help. Right.
Ooh.
I thought the holes could be relevant, but
No.
maybe they're not.
No.
That could be just distracting you from the actual idiom itself.
It could be.
You might think the holes are relevant, but they may not be. They might not have anything to do with it.
Yeah. In fact, they don't. So it looks as if we have a couple of correct answers. Trin and also Christina, it looks as if you also have it correct. Yes, it is, of course, the big cheese. So you have two pieces of cheese, small and big. There is a big one there, you see, the big cheese. What does that mean, Mr. Steve?
As Christina has put there, it's an important person.
Yes.
A boss, the big cheese, the head honcho.
The person in charge.
The person in charge, the big cheese. You wouldn't normally describe your boss as the big cheese unless you got on very well with them.
Maybe the owner.
Yes, the owner of a business, somebody in charge, the top person.
Yes.
It's a slang word, isn't it?
Yes. But it's an idiom.
Pardon?
It's an idiom.
It's an idiom. Big cheese, head honcho, big chief.
That's it.
Would be other words you could use in place of
the
that.
Boss.
The boss.
Or the owner. That's a good one. I like that one. Here we go. Another one.
Is this the last one, by any chance?
You wish. Here's another one, Mr. Steve. I think this might be an easy one to finish off as we approach.
Oh, yes. You could have put 4:10 on that, Mr. Duncan. That would have been that would have been an accurate reflection of the actual time.
Well, that would have been amazing if I'd known that we were going to show this at 4:10. But I'm not that clever. I know a lot of people say Mr. Duncan, he's a smart cookie, but I'm not that clever. Not yet, anyway. Guess the picture. This is the final one, and then we can all go and have a lie down in a dark room.
We, of course, will have a piece of my cake that I baked yesterday.
Yes, your tea cake.
My tea cake bread and a nice cup of tea, and I shall sit down and watch my favourite car programme, which is already started, Mr. Duncan. I've missed 10 minutes of it already.
Well, this is what happens. If you want to get into show business, sometimes you have to sacrifice things.
What's it called, that programme I watched? They get an old car and they do it up. And then sell it.
So this is your favourite show that you can't remember the name of?
I never remember the names of these
Bangers
shows.
and Cash?
No, not that one. It's the other one where they get a car.
Oh, I know. Wheeler Dealer.
Wheeler Dealer. That's it, Mr. Duncan.
Stupid name.
Trin's put. We've got a suggestion from Trin, who's proving to be very good at this game.
Yes.
Or Scary Man has got something that. I mean that. Yeah, that could literally mean that.
Yes.
Oh, Lewis has got a good one as well.
Yes. They're, you know what? They are all very good answers, and they could almost all relate to this picture.
But are they idioms that people have suggested there?
They are. Yes. If you take time, if you do something around the clock, they're all phrases. They're all being used in a different way to express a certain action. And we will show the answer, and then we can get out of here.
Time on your hands.
You have time on your hands. Very. Did you enjoy that? We might do this again next week if you like it. If you don't like it, then I will cancel the whole thing now. It will never happen again. Time on your hands. What does it mean, Mr. Steve?
It means that you've got a period of time when you've got nothing to do. I've got time on my hands. You might have just finished a project at work, for example. Always a project at work or at home, and you've got a couple of hours to spare, and you might think, well, I've got a bit of time on my hands now. I think I'll read a book.
Yes, you might say that you are free.
You're free. How often do we get time on our hands these days? Not very often, with the demands of the modern world.
Not very often. Very few of us have a chance to have time on.
When you retire, you might have a lot of time on your hands.
Yes.
The suggestion is you could get bored if you don't fill that time with something. Christina liked the game. Have nothing to do. Yeah, that's it. But you might be positive and say, I've got time on my hands. I think I'll do the gardening.
Yes.
I've got time on my hands. I might phone some more customers because I've got time to do it.
That's it. I think we've covered that. And now, guess what, Mr. Steve? Now we are going to both have time on our hands.
Exactly, although I have got things to do, but first I will relax.
Yeah, you're going to watch television. I'm
going to watch TV for half an hour.
You're going to watch your rubbish TV show.
That's 16 minutes of it I've watched, Mr. Duncan. I wonder what car they're going to do up this week.
Okay.
Hope it's a Ford Mustang.
No one cares.
Lovely to be here to interact with you all. Please like Mr. Duncan's live stream if you haven't already.
Please.
And please make some comments as well if you can. That all helps Mr. Duncan. And I look forward to seeing you all again next week.
It's been an interesting one, and I hope you've enjoyed today's live stream. Thank you, Mr. Steve. You are back with us next Sunday. And of course, next Sunday it is March. March will arrive. Beware the Ides of March as March approaches, and hopefully the weather will start getting nice as well. Thank you, Mr. Steve. See you next Sunday.
Bye.
I'm very aware that Steve can't wait to get out of he can't get out of the chair. Oh my. I wish you could have seen that. I wish you could have seen that. Poor Steve could not get out of the chair. It took three attempts before he got up. Oh dear. Thank you very much for your company today. I hope you've enjoyed this slightly longer English Addict, and I will be back with you on Wednesday. It is raining now. The rain is coming down quite heavily, as you will see in a moment. Thank you for watching. See you on Wednesday, 2 p.m. UK time. Please enjoy the rest of your Sunday, whatever it is you are doing. Please have a lovely time, and I will see you then. And of course, until the next time we meet, you know what's coming next. Yes, you do. Stay happy, stay safe. Don't get crushed by trees like Mr. Steve nearly did. Keep that smile upon your face as you walk amongst the human race. And I will see you on Wednesday. And of course, until the next time we meet, you know what's coming next. Yes, you do. It was a good one today. And guess what? You can watch it all over again later on with captions. Ta-ta for now.